Being a waitress, it is my job to take food orders from people and then bring them the food that they ordered. A starter will sometimes consist of, a salad or a soup, whereas a dessert can consist of anything from a bread pudding to a chocolate cake. And at the restaurant I work at, we have those options of coursing out your meals with a starter, the dessert, and then the main entree as well. Last night, I had a woman and her husband come in, and they both decided to order their meal, and I offered to see if either of them would like to start off with a salad. And the woman looked at me and said she'd like to hold off on the salad because she wanted to save room for dessert. How many of you have been in an instance where you're out to eat and you don't want your salad because you want to save room for dessert? Definitely guilty of that here. But it's interesting because a study had been done between several French and American families to kind of see if this was a cultural thing or if this is something that is practiced throughout the world. And the study showed statistics on coursing and consumption between these two cultures, types of food that were targeted during meal times, and then socialization and eating patterns between these two. And the results showed that the Americans were more likely to consume dessert after the meal, whereas the French were not. So, while the Americans believed to be getting a good amount of fruits and vegetables in their diets, the French culture emphasizes a wider variety of options, as well as many different meal courses, resulting in a greater acceptance and enjoyment of food that are better for their bodies. So let's talk about coursing and consumption here. The Americans in the study had about 1 to maybe 2 courses sometimes, and that second course usually always often consisted of a dessert. Surprise. Whereas in the French culture, the meal consisted of either 3, 4, and even sometimes 5 courses. Some of those courses consisted of 1 dedicated to cheese, 1 dedicated to a salad, and then they had their main entree, and then at the end of their meal, they were brought out, instead of a dessert, they would bring out a side of fruit. And speaking of fruit, fruit is served in these studies that were done. Fruit was served to all 8 of the French families that were done in this study, resulting in 14 out of 16 of the meals fruit was available for consumption. Whereas in the study, according to the American households, only 3 households served fruit during meal times. Within that same study, American households were exposed to only 4 kinds of fruits, whereas the French studies showed that the French culture exposed their children to over 14 different kinds of fruits. Now, if you're a visual learner like me, you might appreciate this next part. So for the Americans, 4 types of fruit could fit into a bowl about this size, whereas in the French culture, 14 different fruits could fit into a bowl about this size. So there's a little bit of a difference here. Now, in regards to socialization and eating habits, the French family engaged in conversation that was specifically directed around the foods they were eating. So, for instance, one example is that the mother went to her son and asked if he could guess the kind of spice that he tasted on top of his vegetables, in order to kind of make almost a game out of his vegetable consumption and a challenge for him. And it was fun and exciting for him. So it's kind of a way to make your children want to eat these good vegetables for them. Whereas in the American families, vegetables were a choice. They were parents gave their children an option. Would you like vegetables at this meal or not? And an option to eat their vegetables, and they would often say no. Because I don't know too many children who are running towards trees of broccoli. But that resulted in the American children did not eat their vegetables half of the time. So what can we learn from the studies of these French and American families here? There's the obvious that, fruits and vegetables, they're so many benefits, health benefits, such as vitamins and minerals that are good for your body. But why is it that, we want to take care of our bodies? If I'm happy eating donuts and chocolate, why can't I just keep eating donuts and chocolate? I think because the real issue here is that our bodies were given to us by God, and we want to take care of that. That's emphasized in 1 Corinthians 6:19 through 20, which says, "Do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit, and whom you have from God? You are not your own, for you were bought with a price. So glorify God in your body." To take care of our bodies, we need to start on the inside, which is by consuming more fruits and vegetables, a wider variety of them. And that way we will gain the benefits that God has placed before us. While a gluten-free, flourless chocolate torte is not necessarily a vegetable, we have a lot to learn from the French in this instance in their cultural practices, such as trying new fruits and vegetables. So my challenge for you is that this week, start by going to the grocery store and picking a new fruit and a new vegetable that you've never tried before, each week for a month. So 4 new fruits and 4 new vegetables, and see what you think of them, because you might not only like the taste, but I think your body will thank you for it in the end.